Good evening and welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. We've been gone a couple of weeks. Sometimes you just have to take a rest. You can't be on this camera every week. You have to take a rest. So I've rested and reset, and we are on for the Fresh Book Festival, which is coming up really soon. I can't believe it. But tonight, my special guest is India Gray Daniels, who is the CEO of our Collective Trauma and Healing, OCTH. India, welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm proud. I'm happy to be here. Blessings.
Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation is brought to you by Eilers Diamonds LLC, Lee's Press, a Dante production, whose jazz series continues at Daisy Stocking Park in Daytona Beach this Saturday, September 14th at 7 p.m. And I am hosting Motown and Mo in Palm Coast. Please come join us October 18th and 19th. And then we take the journey to the Fresh Book Festival, which will be in February 2025. If you have any questions for India, please leave them in the chat room. And this conversation is being recorded. So, for everybody out there in our hearing space, India is my niece, and I am proud to say that she has had a journey that's unimaginable. I keep telling her to write a book from Homewood to from the hood to Harvard. And so it's really nice to have you here. Please just take a moment and introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. So my name is India Daniels. Like my auntie said, I am the founder of Our Collective Trauma and Healing. It is a mental health education platform that has identified a critical need, particularly in the Black and persons of color community, for more mental health advocacy as it relates to depression, anxiety, and other some more common areas of mental health that dozens upon dozens of Black and African American cultures suffer from, but don't know it. And that is our mission, is to continue to highlight mental health services, mental health education, and making people aware of these illnesses.
And so, how did the organization begin, India?
Sure. So in 2020, at the height of the pandemic, it was a bunch of moms who were tired, exhausted, and the pandemic really exposed a lot of mental health conditions because of the time barrier and the um, exhaustion that really parents and moms were going through trying to work and trying to be parents and trying to do
Mm,
all the things. And so it started off as a support group. Um, the support group was a Facebook group of about 100 women, but all we did all day was talk about our mental health and how we were doing, what we were doing to keep ourselves sane in the midst of all of this. Um, and then eventually we all said, it would be really nice for us to have a brunch and for us to like get together. And what's funny is these women were from all over the United States, women in California, women in Texas, women in Pennsylvania, women in DC, Philadelphia, Florida, just everywhere, all collectively coming together for what we now know as the Octa Brunch experience. But when it first started, it was just a brunch of women coming together to talk about their mental health, to talk about how they can collectively build each other up, build support networks of mental health support networks. And eventually, we started hosting brunches that included therapists. So now, what we know as the Octa Brunch experience today, we host women's brunches all over the United States upon request. And we also host co ed brunches for our men. We are trying to reach our Black populations, particularly men who are struggling with mental health conditions as well.
I want to correct myself. It's from the hood to Howard, not the hood to Harvard,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yep.
make sure that that's that's very,
HU.
very
Yeah.
important. That's very important.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Considering coming from where we come from, coming from the neighborhood to Howard University is amazing. So, what age
Yeah.
did you realize that self-care and therapy would be a part of your life?
Wow, that's such a great question. And it was pretty late in life. I am 39 years old. Uh, my first bout of self-care and taking care of myself was in 2019. So that was 5 years ago. Yeah, I was about 34, 30, 33. Um, and I never really explored what it meant to take care of myself mentally, making sure that I had the resources and I was what we call in the mental health space filling our cup. All of those things, I had no idea what that looked like, what that meant. And it goes beyond just your general um, nails done, pedicure and things that, culture tries to make it look like. Those are great things to do. But taking care of your mental goes beyond that. And I think I didn't start doing that until, yeah, my mid 30s.
So, do you think a lot of it had to do with your cup being full? You were in school, you were a
No,
mother.
because in fact, my cup was not full and I wasn't handling that correctly. So I was managing all of these things, right? Except for my mental health. And,
Mm.
you know, mental health, it can come out in various ways. It can come out in the way we treat others. It can come out in, are we taking care of ourselves? What we eat, the foods that we put in our body. Are we sleeping? Are we sleeping successfully and in a healthy way, not just sleeping, waking up all periods of the night? Are we deep breathing, right? How's our prayer life? Do we have a prayer life? Do we have, all of these things collectively um, is what really I was missing, right? I was doing everything else. It looked good all on the surface. I was in school, got my undergrad degree from Howard. I went on to get a certificate from Georgetown. I went on to get another executive certification from Harvard Kennedy School. And then I went on to get my master's and all this while I was
So
working
it
for the
was
government.
Harvard. You did go to Harvard. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it was all while I was,
It was the
it was
three
like,
H's: Homewood, Howard, Harvard.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, that's nice.
all of those I feel like, there was, you know, an expectation or portrayal of me that while I was able to uphold flawlessly, I was not able to uphold my mental health and my standards as it appears to myself. Am I doing okay? A lot of times we could be, there was one beautiful woman. I think she was in a pageant, and she was very smart.
And
She was from
she
New York,
jumped off of the
and she,
13th
and she
floor.
jumped off of a building, and that connected with me so vividly when that happened because I remember that could have been me. That could have been me. And I'm thankful for the experience that we've had in these past 4 years that have led me to taking better care of myself, you know? And it's been a journey. It's been a real long journey. I'm grateful for the therapists that have jumped on board to assist with our efforts to promote and advocate for better mental health services in the Black community. Um, all of that, all of that. I'm just grateful for the entire experience. But yeah, getting
During the
back to your
mhm.
question, yeah.
No problem. When we were talking about being together during the pandemic, did any of the women who were in the original group kind of come over with you to your organization, or did a lot of people drop out because of, for whatever reason?
So everybody still stays connected. Everybody who was connected way back when, they're still connected to this day. They may not see each other often, but we all still utilize the same Facebook hub to communicate and share things, talk about what's going on. If I'm hosting an upcoming brunch, that's where I, you know, put it there for everybody to know. We all very much do still stay connected. And I'm always sharing educational tips and things like that where we can still kind of talk through things. I actually started this year group therapy sessions for our local DC area women who may not have enough funds to cover, therapy services, but could utilize some of their own assistance within a group setting. And so we connected several therapists to group sessions once a month, and we've been doing
In
that for the past
person
year.
or in
Yes, in
person?
person. Hmm.
Is that hard to do?
Yes.
I'm not sure that I could give everything in a group. How do you get ready for that?
Well, we had to start off with safe space orienting and people feeling comfortable to talk about things. A lot of the women that joined that group were already comfortable. It started off with them attending a brunch. That's the most important aspect of what we do is through our brunches, we're able to connect with so many women and get, and have vulnerability and honesty and openness. It's not just any brunch, it's a safe space for people to really share their struggles and connect with resources. And so once people feel open enough to talk there, I think that leads the way into, hey, would you like to join our group therapy sessions? Um, it's really a powerful event that leads its way to them being a part of just the Octa family in
Right.
general.
It looks powerful. It looks like a really good
Yes, it
time.
is. And
Um,
we do have a lot of fun. Yes, we
yeah,
do.
you listen, you your wellness comes with laughter.
Yes. Yes, that's how we started getting the comedians to come and participate. We started getting singers to come and participate. And singers, comedians, entertainers, they've been coming since we've started. Poets, people coming to speak or perform. Really a beautiful experience. Beautiful experience.
I've read that you have a wellness boutique. Tell the audience what that consists of.
So we generally we travel with our boutique items to brunch from brunch to brunch. Usually you'll see our boutique somewhere on the side while we're hosting a brunch, and you'll see everything from black owned soaps to lotions, creams and perfumes, scents and oils. All of that is usually we work with black owned businesses to promote their wellness products.
And that money goes to the entrepreneur or a portion goes to your
Sure.
organization. Okay, go ahead.
Yep, a portion of that goes to our brunches. It furthers our cause, our mission to continue to provide brunches that are exquisite, entertaining.
So tell me about the organization's help in legacy communities and the need for self-care and therapy. How is that project going? Is that hard to go into black and brown neighborhoods and say, we really ought to consider self-care? Because a lot of times we consider self-care at the end of the week, having a drink, or going out, right? Or um, maybe not utilizing things like, going to get your feet done or going to get your nails done, even though that's a simple thing. It really can make a difference at the end of a 2 week period if you get paid, right? But why is it so difficult in your mind that legacy communities don't understand the need?
Well, for one, it's an affordability issue. I think that
Mhm.
a lot of times communities do not have access to therapy, don't have access to, some self care days, don't have access to these things. So they don't know necessarily how much of a difference it makes in your life. Um, but beyond that, I think the difficulty is not necessarily connecting with communities, but more so connecting with institutions and systems that impact these communities. Talking with them first, we're able to connect with the community. Um, I was a part of hosting a mental health event that I planned and, spearheaded with therapists in the DC community to work with firefighters and first
Mm,
responders. Um, but it started there in order for it to really have an impact on everything else. That community session that we had wasn't just firefighters there. It was folks from the community that came to this mental health event to talk about mental health, Black mental health. It was Black History Month when we hosted it. So strategically thinking, right, trying to work with systems rather than just people, because the systems are the systems that actually make a difference in the people's lives. You know, firefighters are our community. You know, paramedics, they are the community. Police officers
and
are the
they're in
community.
trauma every day, almost
That's
every day,
right. That's
every
right.
day. Yeah.
And so connecting with them is powerful, but it also leads the way to the community talking about it, right? Once you start getting people talking about it, then it becomes easier to make a difference because people want to come. One of the things that we did as a starting point was entertainment, bringing entertainment to the Octa brunches that would inspire people to say, "I want to be there." You know, that was more strategically planted there so that we could get a response that we were looking for.
Right. The black, bright, shiny object in the corner when really you're there to kind of focus on your mental health. Right. I understand
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And tell me about, I just went through my journey with breast cancer. And what I will say is that it was the the professionals were great. No problem with that. My real angst was that there was nobody melanated. So do you find that you probably don't in your space because you are in a space where melanated people live, work, and play, right? But do you find overall that there are not enough melanated counselors? And maybe that might be the reason legacy communities, because you just feel like you don't connect with someone who doesn't understand uh, a block party or a night playing spades with your family, or you know what I mean, and what all that means and how you grow out of that or into that. When you're talking about when you sit down with them and you give them your history. And so, do you find that that's an issue, not having enough, particularly melanated counselors or therapists?
Yes.
Oh, even in
So
your
Black therapists make up something very, very small. I think the last statistics I made was like 3%. Um, and there's just not enough people that look like us helping us. And so that's one of the staples of what we do is locate Black therapists to work, not only to attend and be a part of brunch, but also um, to commit to serving the populations that are there. Um, it
And that's a
definitely
financial thing too, right? That's a
yes
financial
it
thing,
is.
right?
Yes
I
it
mean,
is.
it takes a
Yes
lot
it
of
is.
money to get through school. And until we get this student loan thing taken care of, they have to be able to make financial decisions.
Right. But they recognize, here's what I do know about therapists that are Black. They recognize the critical need. It's almost a public health emergency that Black people need therapeutic services, and they recognize that need. There's never a time where I am asking somebody and I'm asking them again. Most of the therapists that I have worked with, they come with open arms, and there are a lot out there, but looking for them, identifying them, making sure they align with your insurance company, all of that
Right.
stuff, especially when you're depressed, is
Right.
exhausting. We started doing that coordination service for individuals because looking for a therapist, identifying their race, identifying if they have worked in the challenges that somebody may have. Maybe you have postpartum depression. Now you're looking for do you want a woman, a Black female postpartum depression specialist? And do you have the energy to do all of that? We started doing that as an assistance service to help, folks find the right therapist for them, identifying all of those pieces to their puzzle.
It's
Um,
funny you would bring that up because there's someone online tonight who does exactly that. So I will make sure that you two,
awesome.
yeah, I know. I'll make
Yes.
sure you two connect. I mean, that's what um her company is based on. Postpartum depression and making sure that women know that there are steps to motherhood. Having the baby is one thing, but just all the rest that comes with it is touched and talked about. And so I'll make sure that you two meet after the show. And so what getting men involved. Now my therapist has a therapist, which I thought was really funny. But she said to me, yeah, once you guys pour into me, I need to pour into somebody else. So everybody, it's a link. It really is a link. Everybody is linked together. And so why do you think men um, have such a hard time getting into the therapeutic space?
Well, I can only speak for what they say, right? And I've had several Black men counselors come sit with me and talk during our brunch sessions. And a lot of it is men not feeling um, that their feelings matter. Uh,
Mm.
that when they think about mental health, they have shoved it so far down in their system that they don't deal with whatever trauma it is that they have going on. Or again, they think nobody cares. So they force themselves not to care. That's one issue. Another issue is just it's not promoted enough to talk about Black male or just male in general mental health issues. It's not something that we look at and we expose and we show that it's okay to do. Um, and I think that lends its way to men not speaking on whatever challenges that they may have. So, we that was one of the reasons why we started having men come to the brunches, and we want to continue to promote Black male therapy because that is an important aspect to our homes, to our systems.
Can we talk about how maybe we can change the strategy of how we raise young men? Like don't cry. Boys don't cry. Or
Yeah, you have to
be a
break those
man. It's
cycles.
it's the words that you use,
Yeah,
right? And we emotionally hold them and hijack.
yeah. And you know what? The sad part is until you go through therapy, or until you receive some sort of therapeutic eye awakening service, or, that happens to you, you will continue to pass down that generational trauma to your son, and they'll pass it to their son, and their son will pass it to their son. And I think breaking that cycle is identifying that it is a toxic way of thinking and the reasons why, what it does to a child's mental health, what it does to their long term impacted mental health. Um, a lot of adverse childhood experiences happen centered around their mental, not feeling like they are enough, not feeling like they, you know, are able to speak. Somebody is listening. A lot of children feel like their parents don't listen. So those are the challenges that we will see in our younger days, and then it just kind of exposes itself later on in life when you're in your 30s, when you're in your 40s, when you are married and you can't get along with your spouse. All of those things start to surface later in life.
I see that a lot of millennials, because all you guys are turning 40 in the next year or two, are finding ways to secure their mental health, things that we never even thought about. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that your generation has decided that the trauma needs to be not fixed, but at least talked about?
Um, I think it's because it was not talked about enough in households. And when we became of age, we started talking about things that we couldn't talk about. There's something special about the millennial culture because we are the generation that is leading the way of a lot of innovative thought, um, a lot of openness and just candidness. And it's really a beautiful thing. I'm not going to blame another generation of parents for that. I'm just going to say that I think it was because we were not, a lot of us, we felt like our opinions didn't matter and our voice did not matter. So you'll see more people of our age speaking up and speaking out and being loud or and talking about issues that affect them, primarily because not having that space growing up, not having the ability to talk about that.
Well, I mean,
You're being
children are
completely
meant to be
transparent.
seen, and children are meant to be seen and not heard.
And then that's the whole point right there. Children
Right.
are meant to be seen and not heard. Imagine that now in practice.
I know that's just, I mean,
Imagine that now in practice.
right.
So now you would, but more importantly, imagine that plus a decade or two of years
Or
added to,
three.
or three, and now you have an adult with a host of issues. But it all started when they were a child.
Yeah.
A lot
It,
of times in therapy, when you talk about things, you end up going back to childhood trauma. A lot of us carry a lot of childhood trauma where it just is in our everyday how we go about life. And undoing that, it takes time. Just because you get in therapy does not mean you're going to change overnight. A lot of people get in therapy and think, "Oh, I'm going to be okay in 3 months, 3 months."
no.
But therapy is a long-term cycle meant to better you consistently.
I would think you should look at 5 years, really,
That's
of
right. Five
consistent
or six
therapy.
years
Of
of consistency. And
hmm
you don't have to be, consistency doesn't mean every Monday, but it
No,
means I'm going to continuously check in with my therapist on how I'm doing. Um, I'm going to consistently commit to doing the things that better my mental health, such as exercise. A lot of us, might not have the best exercise regimen, but believe it or not, exercise and the food intake that we have play a major role in our mental health.
yeah, I mean, just they tell you all the time, 20 minutes a day walking is everything, right?
It
And
really
it
is. It
really is.
really
And so, I try to, if I'm out during the day, park as far away from the store as possible. You know what I mean? So that if I'm not going to get an exercise in, at least I'm going to walk that far away from the store, walk around the store, walk back to you know what I mean? To try to get something in during the day. Um,
my daughter knows when I haven't walked. She'll say, "Mommy, did you go for your walk today?"
oh, yeah.
And because once you're like a grown woman and you're working full time and you're mothering and you still have your wife duties, those are a lot of pressures on a woman, just a lot of pressure on a woman where you have to constantly be in performance mode, where you are making sure
Always
your baby,
on. You're always on. You're always
you
on.
never get a chance to be off. But walking gives you that opportunity.
Right.
Just something for free, like walking.
Just
Walking,
that
with a
simple.
bottle of water, just reflecting, that is your moment.
It is your moment. So 5 years in, right? We're going into our fifth year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, do you believe that children and young adults should be in therapy or
Absolutely.
have some kind of group therapy even in school?
Yes. I think that we don't utilize our school psychologists enough. We don't utilize our counselors enough. The counselors and school psychologists are free therapy for children. Um, and we need to start realizing that that's what it is and to utilize that because the school psychologist can do incredible things, make great connections with your child, especially if your child is going through an adverse childhood experience. What is an adverse childhood experience? That includes a divorce, um, physical abuse in the home.
Moving
Uh,
every 3 months.
yeah, moving, constantly moving, having to shift gears
Yeah.
every. every couple of months.
Yeah. Or a year, whatever, but
Starvation,
still, yeah.
lack of income. These are all adverse childhood experiences that uh, need assistance, and if and the oftentimes a counselor in the school or a school psychologist can do wonders for just talking to your child about their day. How are you doing today? How are you doing today can go so far for a child, so far. How are you doing today? And talking to them for about 15 minutes.
But how are schools doing that on a regular
Yeah.
basis? Oh, they
Well,
do?
every
Okay.
school has a school
But I'm
psychologist.
saying, is there a process in place where you get to see it's 365 days, right? So if the counselor is able to see, I don't know, six children a day just to check in, I don't think they do that because they're
No,
given
they
so
don't.
many
It's
other
usually
things
upon
like,
request.
yeah,
It's usually upon request and as
yeah.
needed. I think that it would truly benefit if we could come up with a system of check-ins periodically with all students.
You have a boy and a girl, right? And so I really like the new thinking that music and yoga therapy should be used for detention in school. What do you think about that?
I think that that's beautiful. It's very effective for children. Yoga is very effective for children. Sound therapy is also very effective for children. Even that's for adults as well too.
But I think I was thinking more about the young boys with the so-called ADHD who can't sit still, right?
Yeah.
And boys have always been like that. I remember being in elementary school where there was a little boy would just pull my hair all day. You know what I mean? That's what they do, right? And
Hmm.
so he didn't go to detention. He was just moved away from me. You know what I mean? They found other things to do besides put somebody in attention or send them home where there's nobody
Yeah.
there, that kind of stuff, you know. Let's try to give more helpful space in the school system. And you know, now with all the tragedy that's going on, I guess that's hard too. But I do like the yoga and the music therapy instead of detention. That just makes sense to me. You know, just to calm their
Yeah, there's
spirits.
alternative methods of whatever it is the kid might be going through because you never know why a kid is operating the way they're operating. It could be ADHD, but it could be some other issues going on.
It could be that your house is so crowded that you never get a space to exhale yourself. And children need that. They really,
Yes.
really need that. They really need that too. So how has it changed you personally? How do you believe the whole becoming a CEO and having therapy, how has it changed you as a mother, a person, woman?
Well, I just have more self-awareness. And also, like I said in the beginning, I keep my cup overflowing. Um, because if you have your cup overflowing, you're better off in how you're going to treat other people. If you are not okay, how can you treat others, respectful and kind? And I'm always self-aware. One thing I do with my time now is I have a check-in with myself at 4 o'clock every day. There's an alarm that goes off on my phone and it says, "How are you doing?" And every day I just take a brief moment to understand where I am mentally at that very moment, how I'm doing, and what if I'm not doing okay, what do I need to feel better? What do I need to feel better? Um, that kind of check-in keeps me so aware of my feelings that I never had that kind of accountability over myself previously. Some days I didn't even understand what was wrong with me. I just be acting crazy and not really understand why, you know? But now I have that ability to be like, what is the problem? And sometimes as a woman, there might be, you have so many hormones going on as a woman, just so many, like just everything out of whack some days. And when that happens and I can't explain it, then I know my go for a walk, drink some water, pray, and go for a walk. Um, these tools that I have developed in my toolbox, I didn't have years ago. I
Right.
didn't have these tools these are literally tools for you to feel better. Exercise, meditation, prayer, yoga, checking in with yourself and journaling. These are very powerful tools to keep you on the right track and being accountable for yourself.
Are you able to translate that to family members other than your immediate family? Has anyone decided that maybe what you're doing is a good idea? I know it's hard to convince family to do anything, but I'm just,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did for one family member, and I don't know if she followed up with it, but there was one family member that reached out to me. I have a couple of folks on my husband's side of their family that have reached out to me for services as well.
So, but that's hard. That's a hard nut to,
Yeah, this was
to-
years in the making. Like
yeah.
this was years later.
No, just,
So,
yeah,
it's shocking when people reach out and they're like, India, what do you think that I can do for this? And I always tell them, I'm not a therapist, but I can assist you with navigating to get one. I can give you the education I know that helps with anxiety and these types of issues. Um, but it's always a blessing when I have received some phone calls from family members,
yeah.
just getting assistance and things.
So please discuss the fundraising brunch and what's the next date and how we can help you. You're a 501(c)(3). And I understand that your website is being redone, and so some things have to be done before people can donate. But what else can we do?
Yeah, so you can always donate to our Cash App account, Octa, OCTAH. Our next brunch is scheduled for the fall. That's going to be our women's only brunch. We haven't put the date out yet, but we will be putting the date out soon. And then we have our annual New Year's brunch, which is a co-ed brunch. That's always at the first Sunday of the year. And that's our largest event where we usually bring in a lot of therapists, a lot of entertainers, and other people to come and speak. We'll start planning that in November. We'll start, putting out flyers for that in November. And then we're always in need of donations. We are, like you said, not for profit. We are an LLC, but we're not for profit. But we do work with NAMI, the National American Association of Mental Health Institutions. We partner with them, and we're able to retrieve funds that way through the hosting of our brunches, labeled mental health advocacy and education. So you can always donate to that cause. You can always donate to our group therapy services that we offer monthly for women. Um, all of this stuff is paid out of pocket through our brunches. Our income that we make through our brunches, we're able to then fund other services and needs.
When you give your brunches, you have goodie bags, right? What
Yeah.
types of things do you put in the goodie bag, and what types of things would you accept for the good? I know that I had books sent one year.
Yeah.
Um, what other types of things would you suggest
Anything
that people
related
consider?
to mental health, anything related to wellness education, any of those things, we would consider.
Will you have an opportunity for anyone to come to the brunch via internet this year?
That's a good question. We do host these live on Instagram. You can actually go to our Instagram page now and watch previous brunches. So anyone can attend if they, are wishing to attend virtually. We usually host them live and they'll be able to watch it.
Well, I was thinking about a fundraising
Oh,
opportunity, right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking that I mean it's nice that it's live, but if you had an opportunity for people to be part of it and pay $5, $10 to link in, right? That would be 100 more people than outside of the DC area that could be a part of it. And you could also, and I'm only bringing this up because at the Fresh Book Festival, we bring in the CEO of the National Black Book Festival from the UK every year because he can't get here every. But just think of
Mhm.
the people that you could reach and maybe take 15 minutes out in the brunch every. 3 hours. I don't know how long it is, and take some questions from the people from the internet,
I
right?
love it. Sounds like a
Yeah,
great idea.
yeah. I don't think it's a hard idea either. That's easy money. Let's get some easy money, right? Let's
Yes,
get some
I
easy
would
money.
love it. That sounds awesome. That sounds
Yeah,
great.
I don't think it would be hard to do either. In the space that you're in, they should be able to provide that. So it's getting late, and I know you have other family things to do. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we go?
Well, just stay tuned for our next flyers coming out for the fall brunch and for our New Year's brunch. If you guys know of anybody that needs mental health services or education or coordination services, feel free to have them reach out to me.
And we need a pearl of wisdom from you. You have one for us?
Pearl of wisdom. Make sure that your cup is overflowing so that you can naturally flow into others.
Oh, I love that. Say it again.
Make sure that your cup is overflowing so that you may naturally overflow into others.
Well, that should be your tagline. You should put that somewhere. I love that. Thank you, India, for being with us tonight. I know that it was in the middle of your evening, but you have given us a lot of food for thought. A lot of younger people and us older, senior, seasoned people need to think more about therapy and make that a part of our lives. And so, what I'll say now is. When the lights go out and the cell phone towers go down, all you have left is a flashlight and a good book. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.